Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates and a huge news blowout about Star Wars Eclipse. Because it turns out that one Twitter account, this guy, ACCNGT, actually knew about Star Wars Eclipse and posted about it weeks before it was made public, and no one picked it up. He even posted these two images about a week before the full reveal, but no one really found it. No media picked it up, and I had no idea about this guy. But I backtracked through his Twitter account, and he posted about this game more than a month before it was revealed, so he has plenty of very interesting information about this game, including stuff like amount of playable characters, release platforms, when we can expect the game to be released, and much more that I wanted to cover in this video, and it probably gives us more details than the official website actually does, so make sure to watch through the full video so you don't miss out on any of the information. Before I get into all the details, I wanted to give a shout out to my sponsor Elgato. If you guys are interested in any type of content creation gear, whether it's USB microphones, webcams, key lights, green screens, capture cards, or anything like that, make sure to head over to the link in the description below and check out their products. I use like 8 or 9 of them in my setup currently, and they really made my content creation life so much easier. So again, if you have any interest in that or just want a good microphone or webcam, make sure to check out the link in the description below. But now let's dive into the juicy news. So this guy, I'm just gonna call him ACC, actually started posting about this game back in November, and one of the first things that he posted that I found to be really interesting, and keep in mind that back then, if you would have seen this, you probably would have been like, well, this isn't legit, why would we trust this guy? But everything this guy has said about the reveal at the Game Awards has turned out to be correct. And again, I mean, he had pictures from the game a week before it was officially revealed, and no one picked it up. So I would say that we can trust what this guy says about the game. Sure, take some of it with a grain of salt, because someone could always provide him with a little bit of wrong information, but overall this is as trustworthy as a leaker can get. So he said the following: for the Quantic Dream Star Wars game, expect gameplay like The Last of Us, a mix of story and a mix of action gameplay. That to me just sounds absolutely perfect. He does say in another tweet also that this game was inspired by The Last of Us, and I mean, I love The Last of Us. I don't play a lot of single player games, to be completely honest, but if I can get a game as good as The Last of Us in the Star Wars universe, my god, that would be absolutely perfect. So I think this is fantastic to hear, but again, that's just inspiration. Whether the game turns out to be like that, that's a whole other question. He also said the following: Quantic Dream's Star Wars game will have more playable characters than Detroit Become Human. And as far as I understand, Detroit Become Human has 3 main characters you can play as, meaning that this game you will probably have at least 4, if not more, that you can play as. And they will probably all have unique abilities. I would imagine that maybe some of them will be lightsaber wielders and some of them will not. So for me, I think that's really fun. Not that I had a problem in like Fallen Order playing just as Cal, but if I can actually get multiple types of gameplay, like in, you know, Battlefront 2 or something like that, but through a single player story, that just sounds fantastic. And then here he had a big roundup of all the information he had about Star Wars Eclipse, well, before it was actually revealed, saying the following: it's action-adventure based on interactive storytelling, open world, Quantic Dream Montreal is very involved, next-gen only, multiplayer elements, competitive. That's something I haven't seen much about elsewhere, neither on the official website or other leakers, so I didn't expect this to be multiplayer at all, so I'm still like hesitant to whether that's real or not, because this really doesn't sound like a multiplayer competitive game. But if it has that as well and it's good, I mean, it could be like the ultimate Star Wars game. But you know, like the next line says, it's an ambitious and original project. Let's hope they're not too over-ambitious and the game just crashes and burns or get cancelled or anything like that. That's my biggest worry right here. He says it's gonna have traditional action gameplay and that playtesting is in progress and about to start. Rather advanced development, non-linear storyline, that the development of this game is complicated, that with all the things they've already said they're gonna have in the game, I can understand why it's complicated and also a little bit worrying. Sometimes it's good to keep it simple and make it good. Many engine features and tools had to be added / modified / extended, not far from announcement. Teaser being worked on by QD and Unit Image. Development started about a year and a half ago in the in-house game engine. More playable characters than any other QD game. So some of those things we already knew about, and again, this was posted before the official reveal. So it sounds sounds like this is an incredibly ambitious project that, if it turns out like planned, could be one of the best Star Wars games ever, but there are also so many things that could go wrong. So it's way too early to tell, but I mean, it sounds good. That's all I'll say. He also says the following: Star Wars Eclipse will be coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. So it's only going to be next gen and PC, which does make a lot of sense considering the release window, which I will get to later with from another leaker who has provided us with some information. He also said the following: that to clarify, Quantic Dream Paris is working on the creative stuff like motion capture, narrative, level art, and Quantic Dream Montreal is working on things like level design, gameplay, multiplayer, and one of the goals is to keep the narrative and to have memorable action scenes. And then to add on this, Tom Henderson, another known insider who you know have leaked about Battlefield, Battlefront, and a lot of other projects, added the following information: that the game is being written by Quantic Dream Paris and David Cage is very much involved. And Eclipse is believed to be around 3 to 4 years away minimum. And Quantic Dream Paris is currently struggling with hiring staff. And the biggest problem on the dev side is their internal Quantic Dream engine, which wasn't built for an open world title. And there are currently 60 plus job openings for Quantic Dream Paris and 9 in Montreal. So first of all, it obviously is an issue that Quantic Dream Paris is having a big role in this. A lot of you might know that there has been a lot of allegations about an incredibly hostile work environment there, and David Cage being not very nice, to say the least. So it's not the kind of person or studio I would like to support, but on the other hand, you'd have to think about the hundreds of people actually working on this game who are probably nice people. So it's hard to be like, oh, maybe you should just boycott the game. Well, then all those people who actually put in their heart to this will also suffer. So it's a really hard balance. I think if the game is good, you should support the game, but you can always speak up against these kind of bad practices. And I can also understand why Quantic Dream Paris is struggling to hire staff when it's known that there's such a hostile work environment there. So there are a lot of things that worries me here. First of all, that entire Quantic Dream Paris with David Cage part, which it seems like Quantic Dream Paris is doing at least like 50% of the game, and with their track record and their issues, that could very much be a big problem. And the second thing that I think is a problem here is the scope of this game. Like, it sounds amazing to have an open world, non-linear story where you can play 4+ characters. It's gonna be, well, amazing graphics. It's gonna be memorable action gameplay. It's gonna be multiplayer with competitive. It's basically gonna have everything you want. But they've already worked for like 1.5 years on this game, and it's gonna be another 3 to 4 years away. I expected this game to be maybe like 2023, maybe. But now we're talking 2024, 2025, maybe even 2026 until we get this game. So maybe they revealed it a little bit too early. I hope this is something that Tom might be wrong on, either that they will simply be able to create the game faster, or that they will cut down on the scope and, maybe as much as it pains to say this, cut out the multiplayer and focus on the important parts, as this doesn't sound like the type of game that needs multiplayer, if that makes sense. And also the stuff with the engine being problematic, and the engine has been used to make games like Detroit Become Human, and this game seems like it's going to be quite different from that. I mean, we already know how much issues like DICE had with the Frostbite engine trying to make Battlefront 2, and some stuff they wanted to add to that game. So yeah, I'm too familiar with engine issues being a problem when creating a game. And yeah, overall, to kind of boil all of this information down, I think the potential and the scope and the ambition for this game sounds amazing, to say the least, but there are definitely a couple of red flags here, like the scope being potentially too big, and the fact that David Cage is very much involved, which isn't ideal. Obviously, if they have the scope to be 3 to 4 years away, they do have the time to create the game, but the question is, do they have like the funding? Because working on a game for, I don't know, 5 6 years, that's extremely expensive. I mean, I know people don't like to talk about money, but creating games, you'll have to make the money back, simple as that. And to have a dev team work for that long time, it may as well get cancelled after 2 or 3 years when they notice we're not making the progress we need, because 50% of the game development cost is usually marketing. So if you stop it halfway through development, you will not have spent nearly as much as you would have if you cut it like right before launch, or just have a bad launch overall. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. what you think about all this news, what are your hopes and dreams for this game, and what worries do you have. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all things Star Wars gaming, especially Star Wars Eclipse, make sure to hit that subscribe button below, as I will be covering every little detail we can get. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.